Okay, welcome MegaWhale team to another video, and it's been a bit of a brutal day in the market today. We've seen a huge drop in the entire market, with Bitcoin and altcoins performing pretty abysmally. Some altcoins reaching as low as about 20 to 30% down today, which is insane. But obviously this is expected. In a bear market, we see pretty drastic drops, and we've seen a pretty significant drop today. So let's take a look at the chart. Let's dive into it. Let's see what's happened and what we expect to happen from here. So we can see that daily candle, which is a steady candle now, we've touched 35,600, reaching a low of 34,000. 34,000 is a pretty good point to bottom out for now. I do expect lower levels to reach at some point eventually, but for now I think we're going to see a little bit of a bounce and possibly even retest this wedge, but we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later on in the video. I think the most important thing is that we did lose that critical support zone of 41,000 to 39,900, and we talked about it in our last video that we have yet to see our biggest drop yet. If you remember exactly, the exact words I said was we have yet to see our biggest drop yet, and our biggest drop will come between this zone here, which was a further 11% drop, and we have seen that happen exactly as we predicted, which is good to see. Now we do still expect a bounce at some point. Now, we did originally expect a bounce up to about 48,000 as the highest point between 44,000 and 48,000. Can that still happen? We're going to talk about it today. It definitely can still happen, but it is now going to be a little bit harder for that to happen, and maybe our bounce point is going to actually be shifted down a little bit, maybe to 44,000 and to 42,000. So we'll talk about that in today's video. We'll get straight into it. So we're going to start on today on a 4-hour chart, and we can see we've had that significant drop all the way to the bottom of the wedge. We didn't quite get a strong enough bounce at the bottom of that wedge to propel back upwards and retest or reclaim this $40,000 zone. Instead, we fell directly straight through it, which in our video yesterday we said that was a possibility. We said another possibility was we'd touch this zone and fall right through it into this support zone, which is what happened. So we have seen that happen, and for now we've seen a pretty good, pretty strong buyback with this wick coming right under into the support zone, but not actually closing in it on the 4-hour, which is good to see. Right now we are seeing a bit of bullish engulfing. If we can close this candle a little bit higher, we'll probably see a bullish engulfing candle and head back upwards. So what I'm expecting to see is something along the lines of this, a retest and a continuation downwards. We can retest this support and break upwards. If we do break upwards, we'll be heading into this zone here and either back downwards, or obviously we need to break that $42,000 line. We have that as a red line now. That will be our trigger. That $42,000 is a trigger for a continued move into this zone here. So I'll just draw it out. This zone here, let's zoom out so we can show you. If we are able to break $42,000, we will retest this gray support and resistance zone. All right. So we are bearish until $42,000 is broken. When $42,000 is broken, that will be confirmation that we are in fact bouncing, and we can see a nice retracement and healthy upwards movement for a short period of time, at least in the market. Until then, we are expecting a downwards price action. We're going to go into our long-term prediction today a little bit, because we have made some significant ground towards our long-term target, and we'll talk a little bit about our long-term target on a different chart today and show you where that actually is if you missed out on our first video about 7 weeks ago, and update you basically on the direction and how we're traveling towards that. So right now what I'm waiting to see is I'm waiting to figure out what's going to happen with this next move. We do have our possible directions, which we did just show you and illustrate to you. I think now is definitely not the time to be scooping the lows. We are in a very, very major support zone now. So if your risk tolerance is there, you can enter, you can take trades. But I would personally be waiting for a reversal and a confirmation of some kind of bounce before entering. Obviously now is a great time if you want to take a low risk entry with a very tight stop loss and scoop up some altcoins. But personally, I am not doing so. I don't care for catching the bottom. I really couldn't care less. I care to enter as soon as we have a confirmation of a trend reversal, because that is where my risk is going to be the lowest. At the end of the day, prices can fall basically over and over. We saw it over here. No one thought we were going to go any lower. We went lower. No one thought we were going to go any lower. We went lower. And no one thinks we're going lower now. who knows, we might go lower. So what I'm trying to say is, just because an asset is cheap, just because an asset is oversold, that is not enough of an indication for you, or not enough of a reason for you to enter the market. If we take a look at the financial markets right now, the Dow Jones and Nasdaq, all of those are crashing, and Bitcoin will follow suit. As we said 8 weeks ago, Bitcoin is a risk on asset. It does follow the traditional markets. Maybe in 5 years, 10 years time or whatever, it might depair from those markets a little bit more, but for now it does follow those markets. If those drop, Bitcoin will drop. It is simple as that. If interest rates rise, Bitcoin will drop. And it's exactly what is happening. It's exactly what we're seeing. So we've talked a little bit about what we think is going to happen in the short term. Obviously, we'll zoom out a little bit over here. If we do lose this range here, I would say $30,000 is the next absolute major support. All right, 30,000. I can't express to you guys how important it is for us to hold that $30,000 range. If we lose $30,000, we are going to tank. I'm not just saying tank for the sake of it. I'm not just saying this for the sake of it. If we lose $30,000, we are going to tank. All right, we're going all the way down. All right, we'll most likely come on down into the support range. We do have that 200-day moving average which we'll talk about in a second, which we will most likely bottom out on. But we could definitely see a wick down into that range. This is all obviously worst case scenario. We're not talking bullish scenario until we break 42,000. I do have my personal bullish case scenario of what I think could happen to restart some sort of uptrend, but I'm not even going to mention that yet. There's absolutely no point talking about that until we break 42,000. But when we break 42,000, I'll do a video on that and shine some light on you guys about what I think is going to happen for a potential upwards movement. So let's go ahead and bring up a different chart. I'm actually going to open a new tab. Let's go trading view here, and we'll go, there goes an alert. We'll go into our Brave New Coin Liquid Index. Just because this chart allows us to see basically the entirety. If we go the log chart, we can basically see the entirety of the Bitcoin chart. Now, there was one thing, actually, before I move on, this is something I actually want to talk to you guys about, and something I noticed, I think it was about 2 days ago, when I was analyzing the Bitcoin chart. I was trying to figure out if there's any bit of data on the RSI that can suggest when we are bottoming out. And there was a really interesting bit of data I actually did find, which was the RSI coupled on the 3-day chart with the 200-day moving average. Now, we obviously know the 200-day moving average indicates the bottom for Bitcoin on the 7-day chart. If we go to a 7-day chart, we can see every single time we've touched that 200-day moving average on the 7-day chart, it indicates we are either at the bottom or we're very close, meaning we get a few wicks below or a little bit of price action below, but more or less entering on that 200-day moving average will be the safest bet. And that's kind of what we're trying to do today. We're trying to enter on the 200-day moving average in about 7 to 14 weeks. When the price comes back on down to our 200-day moving average, we'll be looking to enter in. But what I did notice on the RSI is we do have a bullish divergence almost every single time on that 3-day chart when Bitcoin's price is the bottom. Now, this is something to be looking out for on the 3-day chart moving forward in the next few weeks, is a bullish divergence, which can actually indicate the bottom of Bitcoin is in. And I'll show you what I mean over here. So let's bring the RSI up onto, I actually wanted to move it forward. There we go. That might be a little bit better. So we can take a look at the RSI here. We'll just zoom it in and we'll move down and we can take a look over here. We had a bullish divergence on the RSI at this point here. So very small bullish divergence, but it was still a bullish divergence. And that divergence point, that last wick, indicated a bottom for Bitcoin. That was the 13th of January 2015. If we forward wind to our bottom in 2018, we can see exactly the same thing happened. We had our bullish divergence, and that bottom point on that divergence, a second touch, indicated the bottom for Bitcoin, and we continued up from there. And obviously, we don't have any data for the 2020 COVID crash because it was just way too quick, and obviously there's a lot more factors coming into play of why that market crashed. But if we take a look at even 2011, we see that exact same thing, the bullish divergence and continuation upwards. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, guys. Let's just go and talk about this 200-day moving average. We can see right now on the 3-day chart, we are coming down to touch the 200-day moving average. We've seen this many times in the past where we've touched that 200-day moving average and bounced. But most of the time when we touch a 200-day moving average on the 3-day chart, we actually end up crashing below. And we have actually seen that today. So this chart isn't up to date. The Brave New Coin Liquid Index isn't quite up to date with the current market price. If we go back and look at our Bitcoin chart, we actually ended up seeing a low of 34,000. Now we go back to this chart, we can see it only saw a low of around 35,500. So 34,000 is actually a break below that 200-day moving average, meaning we've actually broken the 200-day moving average, and we're probably going to continue downwards. Every time we do break that 200-day moving average, we continue downwards on the 3-day chart. So moving back to a 7-day chart, where do I think the bottom is going to be? If you want to go look at our first video, we told you what the method we use to calculate where the RSI would be. We explained the method we used to calculate where the 200-day moving average would be forward in time, and how we use that from a length to width, height to width ratio analysis we use to extrapolate the data from the past 175 days into the next 175 days to determine where that 200-day moving average will be around July. So I still do expect that price to come on down to that 200-day moving average at some point, and it will bounce on that 200-day moving average and either head up and form a new uptrend, or if we do lose it, we might lose a wick below, and you can enter below as we've seen before. And I was talking to Wolves of Crypto earlier today. If we do lose a 200-day moving average on the weekly chart, I'm going to be very concerned about the market. It'll be very, very concerning to see. I haven't seen that 200-day moving average being lost on the weekly chart before, and I think it would send the market into a very, very steep and strong spiral downwards, actually past 20,000, so even below 20,000. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on. And if you have any questions about it, leave them down below. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Our links to our Twitter and Telegram are in the description. I hope this video helped a little bit, shine a little bit of light on the long term. I've had a few people ask, what now? What's going to happen next? We've done heaps of videos on this already, but I thought I'd just do a little update, a newer video to keep you guys on track. We haven't talked today about possible bullish scenarios or bounces. Remember, all we've said today is if we see over 42,000, that will indicate a trigger our trigger point has been broken, and we have a potential move upwards incoming. At that point, we'll be doing a video, and we'll most likely be entering the market with a small amount of money until that long-term $53,000 trigger is broken. When the $53,000 trigger is broken, that will confirm we are now actually in our new uptrend, and we will continue upwards. At that point, we'll be aggressively entering the market. All right, guys, I will catch you in the next video.